Hi students, we're going to talk about relative poverty in the United States in this video. And you're not just going to see me with my whiteboard behind me. Instead, we're going to watch a portion of an HBO documentary that was produced right around the year 2000 of a family in the underclass of the United States. And they live in Mississippi, the most impoverished county in Mississippi, or excuse me, the most impoverished county in the entire nation, according to all of the census data for every 10-year period going back to the 1800s. So this is Tallahatchie County, Mississippi, and we're going to see evidence of style of life and subsistence level living, which goes along with life chances for subsistence, but no life chances for comfort or advancement. And it also applies to relative poverty. It's important that you see examples and you're able to recognize the differences from one type of poverty to the next, because in Project 3, you're going to be given scenarios, brief descriptions, 1 or 2 sentences, descriptions of a lifestyle experience, and it's going to be your job to decide whether that scenario that you're reading applies to relative poverty, absolute poverty, subjective poverty, or a topic that we haven't covered yet. I will cover it in our next video lecture, human development issues. And human development issues have to do with living a long life, what your life expectancy is, what kind of education level do you have access to, and also what is your standard of living. So it's linked to life chances, it's linked to the types of poverty, and so you're going to be examining those things in Project 3. Okay, so let's watch a little bit of this video, Lolly's Kin, The Legacy of Cotton. You're going to meet this grandmother and great-grandmother who takes care of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and look at their style of life, look at their life chances. We're going to watch about 20 minutes of this video. The full video is in the Sociology class playlist on my YouTube channel if you would like to see the entire documentary. It's entertaining. I think you could use that word. It's captivating, it's educational. I don't know if you're going to so much enjoy it because for so many of us, this style of life is outside of the scope of our imagination. But these are our neighbors in Mississippi. Okay, enough from me. Let's watch a little bit of this video together.
Where this here is. There are roaches in this house. Every time you look at it, you see the sign. And it's so beautiful here. This is beautiful. Oh no. There's a great big trap in here. You know some of these folks brought big rats? I don't know rats. Well, see, my grant was $12,000. It was from the government. On that paper said, refrigerator and stove. Now, I ain't got no refrigerator. No lights. Ain't got no lights. If I want to move in right now, how can I move in? Ain't nothing right. Gotta be clamped on the bottom and top. For $12,000, I really don't believe it's in. I don't believe $12,000 in here. Now, you know $12,000, if you meant to do right, you could play these. Man. Oh, God. Everything got to be cute. Might take me 2 or 3 months to get in here. Nothing's all what it is. Cool than worse. Cool than worse. You know, that's cool than worse.
Okay, I'm going to mute it for just a second as we're watching this transition. What you just witnessed was Lolly, the lead character of this documentary. She had a grant from the government for housing. That's one of the things that we need for subsistence level. So the housing was a trailer that was delivered, but I don't know if any of you have ever tried to set up your own trailer. It doesn't come with plumbing included in the ground that you have to run from the street. It doesn't include electricity. It doesn't include replacement screens like she was talking about. And so there is shelter sufficient to keep her alive, but does that shelter meet the average standard of living? So now you're going to meet the superintendent of schools, and he's going to talk to you about some of the conditions of the education level of people in the area that's based on the historic pattern of needing to work in agriculture and in the harvest each fall. Many children, when they got old enough to do substantial manual labor, say around the 5th or 6th grade, many of them were pulled out of school and never went back. And so they have like historic levels of illiteracy. And if the parents are illiterate, what are the life chances for the student to be illiterate based on the way the education system is set up in the United States? A lot of work has to at least be supported in the household, if not done in the household. And so if your parent left the 5th grade, and it wasn't because they had straight A's, they were, barely making it in the 5th grade, then you probably don't have a resource at home to help you with the kinds of things that you're going to need to do in order to be successful in school at the 5th grade level and above. And so let's meet the superintendent here. He's going to talk about some of the overlap that the low standard of living has on the education of these children.
Yes, yes. Good.
The law says that every child in the state of Mississippi has the right to an equal and just education. We're not getting it. These kids deserve better. We can't find certified teachers. We can't find anything that we need to remove this level 1 situation. Here we are, a level 1 school district. Here we are, located in one of the most rural parts of the state. We're supposed to be the worst of the worst. Yeah. And Kathy, is it fair that the state of Mississippi hasn't made the salaries lucrative enough to where we can get people to come here to teach? Irregardless to the fact that money doesn't solve all problems, we can't do anything without dollars. You want to talk about what's level, what's fair, what's even, and the fact that our kids got the same opportunity for an education as other places? It's not so. Now, how in the hell am I going to get off probation?
What is wrong with weight?
So I'll mute it again for just a minute. So essentially what Reggie Barnes was talking about there was there are no life chances for education, and there's not equal opportunity for education for children in this area. He was talking about salaries for teachers. So you can't make salaries for teachers lucrative enough to draw people there. Later on in the documentary, I don't think that we're going to watch it this far into it. But later on in the documentary, he talks about how there's no industry, there's no jobs. If there is a teacher who comes to that area, there's no place for their child to go to school because the public school is failing. There's no industry for their spouse to work in. There are no life chances for jobs, life chances for advancement. And so we're looking at life chances between subsistence level, yes, but advancement level, no. Okay, so now let's let Lolly tell or talk to her grandkids and kids.
Well, I have 38 grands. I have 15 great-grands. All in all, I had 11 children. And I have 6 girls and 2 boys living. Touch me, Jesus.
Yeah.
Touch me, Jesus. Touch me, Jesus. Touch my heart. Touch me, Jesus. Touch my heart. Touch me, Jesus, touch my mind. Touch me, Jesus, touch me, Jesus, touch me, Jesus, touch me. Ain't nobody saying but me. Okay, come on. Touch me, Jesus. Touch me, Jesus. Y'all don't know. Y'all, okay, I ain't gonna sing no more then.
Okay.
It's okay, say your prayer after them. Show them you can say your prayer. Lord,
If I should die,
if I should die,
before I wake,
praise the Lord, my soul keep.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good night, Mama.
Good night, Red Man. Victor shall be mine. Victor shall be mine. If I hold my peace and let the Lord fight my battle, Jesus shall be mine. Thank you.
While you're watching this, do it with the critical lens of what are life chances? What do these folks have in terms of life chances that are different from your own? What kinds of life chances do you have that are an advancement over theirs? And what sort of style of life do the underclass in the United States have? Additionally, keep in mind that I'm going to make a comparison between this style of life and the resources that are available for these folks and resources that are not available worldwide when we look at a different documentary about life in a slum in Liberia later on.
That's it. If the state were to come in and take over this school district, I think everything would turn completely in a negative direction because the problem is a local problem. And people from Jackson, Mississippi, or other parts of the state can't come in and heal the wounds that we're suffering from. The problems are so systemic. And the only way you're going to be able to solve those problems is at the local level. It's, in a sense, we've got to lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps.
First thing I want to talk to you about is the testing situation. I think everybody's aware of where we stand right now. Unfortunately, this will be the beginning of the 5th year for this school district.
Come on. My daughter brought me a sack of meal. It's sitting on the table now.
Life chances for food.
Do you hear me? I told my children, if they put all these children here on me and they ain't bringing no groceries, I said, now your children gonna starve. It's rough. It's just rough with me. It's just rough on me, you know. And no kind of help and no kind of nothing. So, doing the best I can. I get $494. That's what I get a month. Disability. But I got me a living room set. I didn't have nothing to pay down on it, so I had to pay him the first of the month. Now go bring me another jug of water for rinse my dishes.
Life chances for water. If you don't have plumbing to your house, you have to do it some other way.
And if you ask people for some, they say you're begging, so you more than not to ask for nothing. If I ain't got no water, you know, then come take this back. Get up and take it back. So how many hit you now? Only grand I got out there is red man. The rest of them my great grand. And that's Sam's oldest daughter. And that's Sam's oldest little boy out there.
No, that was they over there.
Her mama work over Faithful. Faithful is 2 hours away. And Sam don't have no car. That'd be too hard on her, you know, coming home to one of her children.
There's no life chances
So
for transportation.
Granny and Antonio send them to school. My mama, grandmother had 25, and my mama's mama had 17, and my mom had 23. Ooh, we were 11 boys and 12 girls, us.
Okay, let me pause right there because students usually have a strong reaction to the family sizes that Lolly is describing. And this is a norm that's held over from plantation agriculture days. And it's particularly prevalent in southern states where large farms had manual labor in order to complete the economic activities that went on there. And large families were encouraged, they were even required during slavery days. And so this became a habit. It became a practice that continued after slavery was over, when children were still required to go into the fields and provide a lot of the harvesting and planting that took place in cotton production or any of the other foodstuffs or textile industry products that were grown in Mississippi and the surrounding area. So this is something that if you want to take my cultural geography class, we talk about this a lot. As far as developed or underdeveloped nations and demographics. So it's an issue that has an educational foundation. So do not be ethnocentric about Lolly when she talks about the large families, because it is a habit, a cultural norm that existed it's hard to shake, right? It's hard to shake cultural norms once they're a part of us. Let's continue.
Never know my father. Well, how y'all, huh? So that's the way it is. Red Man was born in July the 13th in 1992. I done had him since he's 6 months old. His mama brought him home to me, then I started raising him and doing for him. His daddy didn't live in Memphis. He won't come see him or nothing. I don't know him myself. If he walk up in there, I wouldn't know him. Yeah. So when he started school in August, with the Lord will, then he's supposed to be in 4th grade.
Yeah.
You want to go to school? You got to go to school or go to jail. Take your choice.
Jail.
You going to jail? Okay. All right, now if y'all read about him in jail, I want to go to school now. So you know I said it. Mm-hmm.
I don't got jail for real. I want to be.
So that was a funny little thing that a little kid can say, and we all know what little kids will come up with if you ask them what they want to be when they grow up or something like that. However, the socialization process is going on here. In childhood, that's when our socialization process is the strongest. There's nothing in us, we have to learn everything, and so there was an opportunity here for Lolly to at least plant the seed in his mind that he needed to break the cycle of poverty. He needed to insist on a higher level of education. He needed to get jail out of his mind. But let me ask you, except for the images at the schoolhouse that you've seen, where are the adult men in this video? Do you see any in the domestic side of things? In other words, at home with Lolly. So that's another aspect of poverty that we haven't covered yet in our class, and you can read about it in chapter 7. It's a term called the feminization of poverty. Please put it in your notes now. The feminization of poverty is the trend over the last 40 or 50 years, 60 years by this point, where increasingly, because of unwed motherhood, because of divorce rates that have increased and females being granted child custody, it's extremely common for impoverished people among the working poor and among the underclass in the United States, to have female heads of household. And because work based on gender distinctions in the USA tend to place higher salary, higher wage levels on jobs that are considered male jobs to fill, like roofing or construction, or lower paying salaries for jobs that typically are considered female jobs, like being a janitor or a maid or a janitor or a childcare worker. Those historically have lower rates of pay. And so this is another trend that we can see evidenced here in this movie that I didn't ask you to cite, but I'm telling you now because it's another concept that we are covering in chapter 7 and 8 on social stratification. Okay, so let's continue here. She's going to give another evidence of more life chances for food here. here, and she's going to teach one of the kids some lessons about how to cook for a large family.
Trying to get rutabagas. Things wasn't like it is now. We just eat out of the field. Whatever we find fit to eat, that's what we eat. I always have wanted to be a chef cook, but I didn't have nobody to teach me, you know. I'm showing you something how to see when you get big enough to cook and got to strap up something, you ain't got to have a whole lot of meat. All you got to do is take this bologna and cut up in your gravy, up in your sauce. That's all you got to do. Everybody get a little bit of it. And you still have some left.
When you don't have running water in your house, that includes not having plumbing to take wastewater out. And so you have a child carry the wastewater bucket out to the ditch behind your house and dump it out there. And wastewater, of course, includes human waste, not just, water you wash the dishes in.
So, we just want to call her Granny. Granny! Granny! Bring y'all! Here she is. Hey. You got me some meat, girl. How y'all doing? Low. That's Lois. That's my girl. Mine is on your plate. You ain't bring me no meat, girl. And what no water, Lois?
I told them to get your water and then they brought no water.
I ain't had no water.
Live chances for water, and it doesn't come out of the faucet because you don't have plumbing.
It can't lock. We like to party. We dance. We used to dance a lot. That's why they call us the Boogie Twins. She don't want me to say it, but I'm gonna say it. We like to dance a lot. We used to. We got too old to do the dance we used to do. And nothing else to do. Play spades. We do this every day. Hard season. I got a job. At the gym, I'm living. I can't complain. I get SSI. Slow learning. No, I used to be in special ed, me and her. It's hard to catch on. Slow. That's still science, slow learning. I said hard to catch on. My mother, she a real good mother. And I love her. And she died right today, and ain't nobody there for us. Cause if you ain't got no mama, you ain't got nobody. Nobody but the good Lord.
So I think I need to stop for a second. It's going to continue to play, but I want to talk about not being ethnocentric, about the two daughters we just learned. They call themselves the Boogie Twins. They basically described what underclass lifestyle is. You live off of stipends or some kind of funding from the government or other sources, but you are not employed regularly throughout the year. So she said that during the harvest season, they have a job, but their education level is so low and they're in such an economically depressed area that there are no other life chances for jobs. If you had a grocery store and needed somebody to stock shelves, if you cannot read well enough to know what each canned good is and where it goes on the shelf, or how to program prices into the thing that prints out the labels, if you don't have an education level well enough to do that, or read concentrated chemical instructions on how to mix it with water to mop floors or something, then I'm not able to hire you to even do the kind of work like a maid could do for me in a grocery store or a hotel. So this is the situation with underclass people. And therefore, they do not have the ability to be employed 12 months out of the year. They can do manual labor such as harvesting when that season is underway, but that's, something I can show you how to pick something from a bush and put it into a sack, to talk about cotton, for instance. Okay, now in this next segment, as I started again, please remember that socialization is a major part of learning our social class. Remember in chapter 4, we learned that social class is ascribed because we are born into the education level, the resource level. We are born into those situations, and in our early years we learn the deepest, the most deeply profound lessons that we carry with us through the rest of our lives. So listen to this next part of the conversation that she has really with the camera crew, and look who's around as far as the children and what are they going to internalize and learn in their socialization process about life in general, but also about their self-concept. Let's listen to this.
I don't know why I ever know anything about love, because anything that go on in my life and I didn't like it, I just shake my head and go walk off from it. So I really ain't never been in love with no man. And I know God will keep me from that. Because they ain't no good. They ain't no bit of good.
I want to get married one time.
I've been married once, but I done cooked this man food all the week. I done kept him clean. I done kept his house clean. I done did this. And when payday come, he don't give me now and dime. I don't want no man in my life. Man give you a headache too.
So those girls are hearing this, and those little boys are hearing this. So the girls get the lesson that men are no good and you don't want them in your life, and the boys get the lesson that they're no good and nobody wants you in their life. And so now let's look for the life chance for clean water. That's what you're going to witness now.
For me getting some water from the county.
And yes, this is clean water that she's getting. Potable water.
Go to the jail and get it.
So you take your empty bleach bottles and you go and fill them up at a source of water that you know about from the municipal water supply. We have infrastructure in the United States that makes sure that our water supply is clean, and we get notices through the media if it's not clean and we need to boil it or something. But this is their life chance for water. Very different than my life chance for water. I can go to my kitchen sink and it comes on because I have plumbing to my house. I can go to my toilet and flush because I have plumbing to my house.
Nobody will ever truly understand the uniqueness of this rural school district. We get kids in kindergarten who don't know their names. We get kids in kindergarten who don't know colors. We get kids in kindergarten who've never been read to. If we can educate the children of the illiterate parent, we stop the vicious cycle. We stop the teenage pregnancies. We stop the use of drugs. We stop the thugs that people label these kids as who walk the street and break in people's houses. We begin to lessen the number of black kids who go 16 miles from here to the state penitentiary, where more and more facilities are being furnished for that than classrooms. You know, it takes about $30,000 a year to house and feed one inmate. Give me 2% of that $30,000, let me educate him. Just 2%. Give me 2% of that money. Per child in my school district, we should be able to do a better job.
Okay, so let me pause it for just one moment. I want to make sure you heard him correctly. He said on the first day of kindergarten, he gets kids who don't know their names. They don't know colors. They don't know shapes. They don't know these things that our education system is designed on the macro scale to expect children at kindergarten to know what their name is. And what we're talking about here is Lolly was talking about how Granny got her nickname Granny. And if you've only ever been called Granny and nobody ever told you that your name is Cassandra Wallace, then on the first day of kindergarten, if your teacher says, "What's your name?" and you say Granny, and there is no Granny on the roster, and the teacher says, "Go sit at the circle table that's colored yellow," but you don't know what a circle is compared to a triangle, and you don't know yellow from orange and purple, or any of those other things because no one has taught you, because the thought never occurred, then you might be labeled as dumb or dim-witted and filtered into special education. But is it really because of any kind of inherent learning disability, or is it because of a deficient socialization process up to that point? The education system expects a certain degree of knowledge on day one. And if you don't believe me, ask somebody with a kindergartner. They will talk to you about kind of an entrance exam, oral entrance exam that their kids go through in order to figure out what their level of aptitude is. So we're talking about life chances for education. In a previous lecture, I asked you if somebody on the bottom of the ladder has the same life chances for education as somebody on the top of the ladder. We're talking about vast differences in the socialization process in youth, and therefore the life chances for education are not the same for one kid on the bottom rung of the ladder and one kid toward the top rungs of the ladder. Let's watch just a few more minutes of this.
What grade he gonna be in? First grade. Red man gonna be in first grade arena, kindergarten one. I don't know. Couldn't tell you nothing till tomorrow. Him, this is him is Antonio. We call him Maine. He done flunk 2 years. In first grade.
Fourth grade. He's not. Oh, he's not fourth
And
grade.
I said, hey. Okay. Wait, you two. Granny. She's 6th grade.
And if you don't have running water in your house, how do you take a bath?
Why you ain't got
5-gallon
the
bucket works
bucket
just
gun?
fine. So we'll see their bath before
Get back
their
in
first
that
day of
water bag
school.
for me.
Okay, Grandma.
Well, get in that bed. Not me. They don't bath themselves. You go in and bath your little so you can come out that water. Turn around, boy.
Take a bath. Take a bath. What's the bath?
I'm trying to get ready, man. Ready for school tomorrow. Hey, Linda, who been in my suitcase? What red line clothes? All that boy clothes on. Linda, that's you wrong, baby. You got all red line clothes.
What you doing at the jail? Man, shoot. They told me what I was doing. Oh, dude, I know did because you went to that skip mom. That's why you went to pay attention because you started off pain. You started off pain.
Okay, so we will stop it here. Sorry for my dog getting excited about something. My husband let him out, so he won't bother us anymore if you heard the dog bark in the background. But yeah, so okay, they're ready for their first day of school. He's going to be in first grade or kindergarten. What first grader or kindergartner do you know who has the word penitentiary in their vocabulary? So as they are playing, before they go to sleep before their first day of school, they are playing Call Somebody on the Phone in the Penitentiary. Who do you suppose that somebody might be? So this is the cycle that Reggie Barnes was talking about. If they had more resources for education, they could potentially eliminate that cycle of incarceration among especially young black men in this area, because that's why you don't really see anybody older than Red Man in this area, or Maine. I think Maine is like 10 in this video. So, okay, if you want to watch the rest of this, it's not 3 hours long, even though this timestamp says it is. It's only got another, like, maybe hour to go, and then it repeats in this video. So, and I also started it a few minutes in, and so you missed a little bit of the background information of this. So if you want to find it, it's in the Sociology class playlist on my YouTube channel. You won't be sorry if you watch the rest of it. There's even more examples, but please make sure that you see the connections between socialization, underclass and working poor in the United States, relative poverty, because this is an example of relative poverty. Everything that you see, they have plenty of oxygen, potable water, food, and shelter. It's not the same as yours, I'm gonna bet, but they have life chances for these things. It's just not the average standard of living. So that fits that definition of relative poverty, not absolute poverty. You see no life-threatening situations here. Okay, so the next video that we have together, pardon me, is going to be another lecture in front of the whiteboard where I talk about human development issues, and then we're going to do another video like this. It'll be shorter than this one, but I'm going to have a documentary behind us so that you can see the vast differences in style of life and standard of living in countries of the world that have absolute poverty and slum conditions. So we'll be able to have a frame of reference. And remember, you're going to have to be able to tell the difference between a scenario that describes relative poverty conditions, absolute poverty conditions, subjective poverty conditions, and then also human development issues that we'll talk about in our next lesson together. Thank you very much for your attention. Text me with questions. Bye.